when we confront the profound question of what happens after death. Our minds and hearts seem flooded with emotions, curiosity, fear, and an insatiable desire to know the unknown. Death remains one of humanity's greatest mysteries, a tightly sealed door that no one has returned from to tell the tale. For many, life is a sequence of tangible events and experiences that we can see, hear, and touch. But what happens when everything we've ever known simply fades away? When we take that last breath and cross the threshold between life and death? Throughout history, countless cultures and religions have sought to interpret and understand the journey beyond. From heaven and hell in Christianity to reincarnation in Hinduism, people have long tried to make sense of this final chapter. But one of the most profound and mysterious guides to understanding death comes from ancient Tibetan Buddhism, a work known as the Bardo Thodol, or more widely in the West as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is not just a book about death. It's a spiritual map, a detailed guide meant to accompany the soul through the deepest and most enigmatic moments of existence. Written thousands of years ago, this book was the creation of a remarkable spiritual master, Padmasambhava, often hailed as the founder of Tibetan Buddhism. Padmasambhava was more than a monk or teacher. He was a revered sage and a master of mystical and esoteric teachings who had an unparalleled understanding of the soul, of life, and of death. The Tibetan Book of the Dead reveals that death is not an end but a transition, a gateway that opens up possibilities for the soul to attain liberation. This text teaches that, at the moment of death, the mind enters a unique state, freed from the constraints of the physical body, where it can perceive the ultimate truth. Padmasambhava believed this moment offered a one-of-a-kind opportunity for liberation and enlightenment if the mind could recognize the pure, radiant light of consciousness, often referred to as the clear light. But how can we, living in the fast-paced, modern world, truly understand and apply these ancient teachings? How can we prepare for this spiritual journey, not only for the moment of death but also within our daily lives? In each moment of living, we can learn to let go, to live fully, and to grow closer to enlightenment. The Tibetan Book of the Dead reminds us that life and death are not opposites but rather two parts of the same journey. It is on this journey that we can find peace and even liberation. However, to understand the Tibetan Book of the Dead, we must first understand the concept of the three bardos, the transitional states after death that every soul will traverse. Each bardo is both an opportunity and a challenge, a mirror that reflects the true nature of the soul. The first state, Shikai Bardo, is the moment of death itself, where the mind encounters the radiant clear light. Next is Koniad Bardo, the state in which the mind faces vivid visions and manifestations from deep within, reflecting all the experiences and emotions accumulated across lifetimes. Finally, there is Sidpa Bardo, the state of preparation for rebirth, where unresolved desires and karmic tendencies draw the soul back into the cycle of samsara, or rebirth. As we embark on this journey, we will delve into each bardo, each phase described in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, to uncover insights and teachings that are as valuable in life as they are in death. Each bardo holds lessons we can apply to our daily lives, from how we confront fear and suffering to how we embrace the impermanent nature of all things. Reflecting on death is not meant to dampen our joy for life. On the contrary, it allows us to cherish every moment, to recognize that everything is temporary, and that this very impermanence makes life precious. The journey through the Tibetan Book of the Dead is not only a journey into the mysteries of the soul, but also an invitation to see the light within ourselves. It's a journey that can begin now, well before death, a journey that can help us live more fully, as if each moment were our last. When that final moment does come, we will be prepared to cross that threshold with a sense of peace and acceptance. Welcome to a journey of exploring the secrets of existence, the timeless lessons within the ancient pages of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, a guide not only for dying but for living as well. In Tibetan Buddhism, the journey after death is marked by three transitional states, or bardos, each offering the soul unique opportunities for growth, liberation, or rebirth. These states, Chikai Bardo, Konyid Bardo, and Sidpa Bardo, are not only profound spiritual experiences after death, but also powerful metaphors that resonate with our day-to-day lives. By understanding these bardos, we can gain insights that prepare us for both the mysteries of the afterlife and the challenges of living. The Chikai Bardo is the initial stage after physical death. This is the moment when the soul separates from the body and encounters the clear light, a brilliant, pure radiance representing the highest truth and ultimate reality. Tibetan Buddhism teaches that this light embodies the true nature of the mind, limitless, formless, and unconditioned. When we experience this light, we are given a rare and precious chance for instant liberation. Recognizing the light as part of ourselves means dissolving all attachments, fears, and illusions. At this moment, the soul can attain nirvana or enlightenment. In contemporary psychological and spiritual perspectives, the clear light can be seen as an experience of pure consciousness, often likened to states reached in deep meditation or near-death experiences. Individuals who have had near-death experiences frequently report feelings of profound peace, oneness, and an overwhelming sense of love, a direct encounter with what the Tibetan Book of the Dead describes as the clear light. Modern scientific studies suggest that consciousness may not be entirely bound to the physical brain, aligning with the idea that consciousness continues in some form after death. For those preparing for this stage in life, practices like meditation, mindfulness, and self-reflection can cultivate a familiarity with this clear light within. Tibetan monks, for instance, spend years training their minds to recognize and stay focused on the true nature of consciousness. By regularly contemplating our fears, desires, and attachments, we prepare ourselves to face the Chikai Bardo with a sense of calm and clarity. In essence, we learn to die to our fears and illusions, making us better equipped to meet the moment of death with acceptance. While few of us will face the clear light during life, we can use this concept as a guide for spiritual growth. Embracing impermanence and letting go of attachments helps us prepare for the inevitable end of physical life. This Bardo invites us to ask, what are we holding on to that we would be willing to let go of in the end? Letting go is not about giving up joy, but about living in harmony with the transient nature of life. Finding peace in the clarity that nothing is permanent. After the initial encounter with the clear light, the soul enters the Konyid Bardo, also called the Bardo of Visions. Here, the mind encounters vivid projections of its own subconscious, the manifestations of karmic imprints, unresolved desires, and hidden fears. These visions can appear as peaceful deities, symbolizing our enlightened nature, or as wrathful deities, embodying our darker, repressed emotions and attachments. In this Bardo, our mind becomes a mirror, reflecting everything we have cultivated throughout our lives. Tibetan Buddhism teaches that these deities, whether peaceful or wrathful, are not external beings but parts of our own consciousness. They represent the unresolved parts of ourselves, demanding recognition, acceptance, and release. The Konyid Bardo offers a profound parallel to modern psychology, where inner fears, traumas, and suppressed desires are seen as essential elements of self-discovery and healing. Renowned psychologist Carl Jung once remarked that gods and demons are projections of the unconscious, powerful and inescapable until understood as parts of ourselves. Similarly, in the Konyid Bardo, the visions we see are our own unresolved emotions and attachments. By confronting these inner figures, we can transcend them, moving closer to enlightenment. In our daily lives, we can encounter the Konyid Bardo by exploring our emotions, identifying patterns that limit us, and confronting the fears we often suppress. Practices such as shadow work, examining the parts of ourselves we prefer to hide, allow us to process these emotions and integrate them rather than projecting them onto others. When we face our fears, understand them, and see them as part of our own consciousness, we make progress toward inner peace. To prepare for the Konyid Bardo, we can practice recognizing our thoughts and emotions as temporary phenomena. Meditation and mindful awareness help us observe our inner world without attachment. teaching us to let emotions rise and fall without getting entangled. Embracing the concept of shunyata, or emptiness, helps us realize that these emotions, visions, and attachments are not our true nature. When we apply this wisdom, we become more resilient and grounded, less affected by the highs and lows of life, and better prepared to navigate the turbulent Konyad Bardo. Finally, the soul enters the Sitpa Bardo, the stage where it prepares for rebirth. This Bardo represents a critical juncture, an opportunity to either transcend the cycle of rebirth or to enter a new existence. In this state, the soul feels an intense pull towards new life, driven by its unresolved desires, fears, and karmic tendencies. Tibetan Buddhism describes this process as being influenced by karma, where each thought, action, and intention from past lives shapes the journey toward the next incarnation. The Sitpa Bardo is often depicted as a kind of psychic storm, where unresolved attachments and desires compel the soul towards rebirth. The soul's choices during this stage are not entirely conscious. They are deeply instinctive, driven by the energy of karma and emotional impulses. However, the Tibetan Book of the Dead suggests that maintaining a sense of detachment and clarity during this bardo can allow the soul to choose liberation over rebirth. In modern life, we can think of karma as the natural consequence of our actions, habits, and choices. Every decision we make shapes our future experiences, just as the soul's unresolved tendencies guide it in the Sitpa Bardo. Practicing self-awareness helps us become conscious of the patterns we create, allowing us to make choices that align with our higher values. In essence, the Sitpa Bardo reminds us that our daily lives are filled with small deaths and rebirths. Every moment, we have the chance to let go of past mistakes, forgive ourselves, and make choices that bring us closer to our authentic self. This bardo invites us to ask, what seeds are we planting for our future? By cultivating positive intentions and detaching from desires that limit us, we prepare ourselves to make more conscious choices, both in this life and beyond. Practicing mindfulness and self-reflection helps us become aware of our karmic patterns. Regular meditation, for instance, teaches us to observe thoughts and emotions without reacting, allowing us to make choices that align with our true nature rather than our conditioned habits. This approach empowers us to consciously shape our future and prepares us to face the Sitpa Bardo with greater wisdom and clarity. In exploring the mysteries of the Bardo Thodol, we ventured into the profound teachings of Tibetan Buddhism on life, death, and the journey in between. This journey has offered us insights into not only what might come after our final breath, but also the transformative power of truly embracing each moment we have here and now. The Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches us that death is but a doorway to another phase of existence, one in which the soul continues its journey, shaped by the life it has lived. Yet these teachings extend far beyond the final moments of life. They encourage us to live in harmony with the essence of each bardo, embracing impermanence, cultivating inner peace, and nurturing compassion in our day-to-day lives. At the heart of the Bardo Thodol is the recognition that all things are transient, and this impermanence is not a threat to our happiness but a key to true freedom. Embracing impermanence means understanding that clinging to people, possessions, or even ideas can lead to suffering because everything eventually changes. Tibetan Buddhism invites us to see this constant flow as a natural part of life and encourages us to find beauty in this impermanence. When we truly let go, we free ourselves from the chains of fear and attachment, finding joy in the present moment without the anxiety of trying to make it last forever. Begin each day with a meditation on impermanence, perhaps visualizing each moment as a river that flows by, always changing yet always connected. Reflect on the people and things in your life that are meaningful, acknowledging their impermanence. This perspective helps cultivate gratitude and a deeper appreciation for the fleeting beauty of each experience. When we accept impermanence, we become less fearful of loss and more open to truly loving others without conditions. This shift helps us form deeper connections and strengthens our ability to cherish our relationships. Impermanence reminds us to make the most of our time with others, to be present, and to approach our connections with a sense of wonder. The Chikai Bardo, where the soul encounters the clear light, teaches us that the ultimate truth, the true nature of the mind, is radiant and without fear. In our lives, fear often arises from the unknown, especially surrounding death and loss. By understanding that our true nature is beyond these fears, we can live with more courage and resilience. Embrace practices that foster courage, such as mindfulness and self-inquiry. Each day, when faced with a decision, ask yourself, am I choosing this out of fear, or am I moving toward love and truth? This question helps to ground us in courage, allowing us to act authentically rather than out of fear or compulsion. The Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches that the soul's encounter with the clear light is not something to fear, but a beautiful and freeing experience. Similarly, when we stop fearing death, we can begin to live more fully. Reflecting on death is not a morbid exercise, but a path to more mindful living. By confronting our own mortality, we become more conscious of how we choose to spend our time and energy. The Coneyed Bardo, or the Bardo of Visions, teaches that we encounter not only serene images but also projections of our inner fears and attachments. This Bardo reveals that the mind's projections can be powerful, often distorting our reality, just as the soul must learn to see through these illusions to attain liberation. We can practice seeing beyond the illusions in our lives, our beliefs, fears, and emotional patterns to cultivate a clearer, more truthful vision of ourselves. Develop practices that encourage self-awareness and insight, such as journaling, mindfulness, and self-reflection. For example, set aside time each week to identify any recurring patterns or beliefs that may be limiting your growth or happiness. As you observe these, you'll begin to see how they might be illusions rather than absolute truths. In many ways, we are conditioned to see ourselves in fixed ways based on our past, our achievements, or others' opinions. The Tibetan Book of the Dead suggests that these identities are illusions. By practicing self-compassion and challenging self-limiting beliefs, we can recognize the true, fluid nature of our being and let go of restrictive identities. The Sidpa Bardo, the stage of rebirth, teaches us that our actions, thoughts, and intentions create the energy that guides us toward our future experiences. Tibetan Buddhism places significant emphasis on karma, the natural consequence of one's actions, and encourages us to live with intention, kindness, and compassion. Living with purpose means consciously choosing our words, actions, and thoughts, aware of their impact on both our lives and those around us. Practice intentional living by setting meaningful goals and embracing kindness in your interactions. For example, at the start of each week, choose a specific intention to guide your actions, whether it's compassion, patience, or gratitude. At the end of the week, reflect on how this intention influenced your experiences. Tibetan Buddhism teaches that compassion is a path to liberation, not only for oneself but for all beings. Each action, when done with compassion, contributes to the well-being of the world. By consciously cultivating empathy, we expand our circle of compassion and create a positive impact, aligning our lives with the ultimate teachings of the Bardo Thodol. Ultimately, the Bardo Thodol teaches that death is not a tragic end but a transition to another phase of existence. By reflecting on death, we learn to truly live, embracing each moment, letting go of what no longer serves us, and facing the unknown with courage and grace. Death, in this sense, becomes our greatest teacher, reminding us of the preciousness of life and the importance of living with awareness, love, and integrity. Make reflection on death a gentle part of your spiritual practice. Take time to reflect on your own mortality, not as a source of fear but as a reminder of what truly matters. This practice brings clarity to your life, helping you prioritize your deepest values and let go of superficial concerns. The Tibetan Book of the Dead invites us to prepare not only for our physical death, but for the many small deaths we encounter in life, moments of change, loss, and transition. Embracing these moments, rather than resisting them, allows us to live more fully and die with a sense of peace and acceptance. In conclusion, the teachings of the Bardo Thodol offer us a way to live deeply, without attachment, fear, or illusion. It invites us to see life and death as a continuous journey, a cycle of growth and transformation where each phase holds valuable lessons. By reflecting on these teachings, we can cultivate a life of compassion, wisdom, and inner peace, preparing ourselves not only for the afterlife but for the profound beauty of each moment we experience here and now. As you leave this journey through the Bardo Thodol, consider carrying its insights with you. Reflect on how you can live in alignment with the truth of impermanence. Free yourself from fear and attachment, and embrace each moment with a heart full of compassion and gratitude. Remember, in the words of the great masters, that the path to liberation is not found somewhere else but within your own heart and mind. The Tibetan Book of the Dead reminds us that life is precious and fleeting, and it urges us to make the most of every moment, to find the courage to confront our fears, to recognize the illusions we hold, and to live with purpose and compassion. Through this wisdom, we find the strength not only to face death with peace but to live each day with joy, clarity, and boundless love. May the teachings of the Bardo Thodol inspire you to embrace the mystery of existence, to live with a heart open to love and a mind ready for truth, and to walk the path of life and death with grace, wisdom, and the deepest sense of peace.